We have been assigned some cases. These psychopaths must be found. The other agents couldn't get them. But I can do it.
Doorways is an episodic first-person horror adventure game where you play the role of Special Agent Thomas Foster, who must track down 4 psychopaths through a maze of caves, corridors and dungeons. With the imminent release of Doorways Chapter 3 in the coming weeks, we thought we would take a look back at the first 2 chapters of Doorways, as a lot of Rift users might have missed this game the first time round. In Chapter 1, you start in a cave system which serves as a tutorial on how the game mechanics work. The graphics are suitably dark and morbid, but in no way do you feel threatened at any stage like you would in Dreadhalls. The cave system eventually opens out to a nighttime stage where you can't stay in the dark too long, or else you will be attacked by some kind of ghost. This area really reminds me of the first Riddick movie Pitch Black, and the challenge here is to keep your torch burning as you traverse between save points. Your final destination is of course a spooky castle, which is where Doorways starts to finally show its horror elements to good effect after a slow start. Navigating your way through the castle dungeons is quite easy, and there are no enemies here to attack you, other than the deadly traversal puzzles, which will only slow down your progress slightly, as they are pretty easy in the most part to solve. The overall atmosphere created by this environment is one of the better horror locations currently available in VR, but I feel the developer has missed a trick by not including tough enemies, as you never feel under direct threat of dying and you can navigate through the puzzles at your own pace. At a later stage, you will find yourself walking around a maze of cells under a house which has been used by one of the psychopaths you are investigating. Once inside, your task is to find parts and repair torture equipment to get an insight into the mind of a killer. This is the highlight of Chapter 1, however the puzzles are no more than find part X and put into slot Y. Once you fix all the implements of death, this concludes Chapter 1, which is an enjoyable experience that promises horror but achieves little more than a few jump scares in a well-realised horror setting. Once you get to Chapter 2, there is a noticeable difference in the pace of your character. Your walking speed seems to have increased by a large amount, which might cause some new VR users sim sickness, however I found it quite tolerable. Gone are the claustrophobic narrow corridors, which are replaced by wide open areas and cathedral-like structures dotted with large tortured statues.
The deeper I got into the chambers of the sculptor, the more his cruel reality unfolded. Again, I was able to recognize one of his alleged victims. I had seen the face in one of the pictures sent along with his profile by Doorways. He was an art model, disappeared from a nearby town.
This whole arena really looks well in the Rift, as the sense of scale is magnificent and you really do feel small in comparison to your surroundings. The entirety of Chapter 2 takes place in this environment, and the Doorways really benefits from this, as the developer has put a lot of time and effort into the level design, which really shines through. Some of you watching this might recognise the voice as Alexander from the game Amnesia: The Dark Descent, and you would be right, it's the same voice actor Sam Mowry, which adds a touch of quality to the overall production. However, the story never really engages you that much, which is a shame, as this element of the game is a real high point.
The sculptures in this place represent real people, acquaintances of the sculptor perhaps. What catches my attention is how his mind has warped their proportions and musculature in the interest of achieving the aesthetic ideal that he considers perfection. I understand that he wanted to imprint his style in his work, but that's not the case here. He feels like he could change the work of nature, improving it in every aspect.
Overall, Doorways Chapter 1 and 2 is a fun but brief experience that you should be able to get through in about 3 hours. The puzzles are a bit easy, but I actually enjoy them as they did not cause endless hours of frustration like some games can do. Doorways has some great environments and a terrific horror atmosphere, but sadly it's missing any real bite when it comes to actually scaring you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more VR news, reviews and features.